Bus company Putco has been forced to temporarily suspend some of its bus operations due to intimidation. The company says its buses were stoned and attacked in Soweto. A bus was hijacked in Soshanguve, Kotswane. Putco staff could not access some areas due to protest action. I'm joined now by the company's spokesperson, Lindokuhle Xulu. Lindokuhle, good afternoon. Welcome to today, and thank you very much for your time. What is the latest you can tell us, despite some of those earlier incidents, or in addition, if there were any more, those incidents of intimidation that your company has experienced today?
Well, but unfortunately for us, during the morning, we were able to preempt some of those incidents when they happened. So we understand that the first incident, that hijacking in Tshwane, where a female driver was forced out of the bus, they demanded money from her, and seeing that she did not have any money as she was about to start her shift, they then decided that they're going to take the bus and block some of the roads there. Fortunately, the police were there to actually assist the lady. I've been speaking to her, and she is fine. She's due for counseling on Wednesday. But we've seen many of those incidents very early in the morning, and that's why we're able to stop many of them from happening, because at that time, we were able then to suspend some of the operations. I should say that as an update, it's something that we're about to release a media statement on, to say that it's not just a temporary suspension anymore, it's a suspension of all of our services for this particular day. So tomorrow we'll try to run a service, but we haven't seen any more intimidation or any more of those incidents. And this is based on the fact that we decided we are going to suspend our operations for the day, and we are going to try to operate tomorrow. We understand it's a public holiday. That's why we have a reduced service, including when we have it on weekends. And then we'll start our normal service on Wednesday. And hopefully nothing happens that is similar to the incidents of today, tomorrow when we start our operations.
So are you saying, just to understand you very clearly, that even though you have not experienced any more incidents of intimidation since this morning, and you've managed to recover that bus that was taken in Pretoria, and also the driver of the bus is safe, she's at home and safe, you've spoken to her, you've decided to fully suspend, as of this afternoon, all your operations for the rest of the day?
Absolutely, Praten. And this comes from the fact that it's not just only the incidents that happened that we're looking at, it's also the fact that our operation teams have been on the ground. You'd understand that we have supervisors that are driving, as well as route supervisors that are driving around our communities to see what the situation is, including in the northern suburbs. And they are telling us that it's not safe yet to actually operate, because some of the roads remain blocked. Some of the communities are still in protest. They believe that this is in a cohesive manner when it comes to the national shutdown. So we are not going to be able to operate those areas. And one of the things that we've always wanted to answer when we started preparing for this particular day, but then we said, are we going to be able to protect and guarantee the safety of our passengers as well as our staff, based on what has happened in the morning and based on what is currently happening in our communities, especially as an end destination coming from the northern suburbs in the evenings? We feel that we're not going to be able to protect, and we're not going to be able to guarantee the safety of those that will be in our buses. The incidents we've seen, but then you found that in the early hours of the morning in Bramfisherville, there was a bus that had passengers, and people could see from outside that there were passengers, but they still stoned the buses, and people had to flee for their lives, including the drivers who abandoned the bus. So we are worried that when we bring people back from their workplaces in the northern suburbs coming into Soweto and the likes of Kwamhlanga, there'll definitely be some of those incidents that happen, and this will be at a time when it becomes dark. So we want to take a precautionary measure and say that we're not going to operate.
Yeah, was Putco able to establish the identity of the people who stoned the bus in Bramfisher?
Not at all, but then it was unfortunate that while government gave us assurances in terms of the fact that they'll be able to protect our buses, that our routes would be looked after, they only arrived after the incident had happened, and understandably so, because of the vast area that they needed to cover in terms of our operations, because our operations go deep into communities like no other bus company. So unfortunately, in these incidents, police would have arrived a few minutes after, and therefore they they couldn't be able to apprehend some of the suspects that were there. And one of the things that we had understood, particularly with the hijacking in Mpumalanga, was that even as police were trying to pursue this bus that was hijacked, the assailants or the people that had actually hijacked the bus, they disembarked from the bus and they fled while the bus was moving. So police's priority at that time was to try and stop a bus that is moving and could potentially harm other motorists. And those were some of the incidents that really, unfortunately, did not yield the results in terms of apprehending those that were involved in violent attacks.
Are you disappointed that the police were not on site to protect your bus?
I think for us, we are disappointed at the fact that our passengers had to experience that, particularly because of that assurance by the state. Remember that we ourselves, when we were called for a meeting by the Department of Transport, we presented the safety and risk analysis to say that there's no way we'll be able to guarantee the safety of all of our passengers and the staff. And it transpired the way it transpired. But for us, we are vindicated in saying that we're taking the right decision to precautiously suspend our operations. So we're quite disappointed at the fact that our passengers had to experience that today.
And tomorrow you expect to resume operations. Thank you very much. That's the spokesperson for Putco, Lindokuhle Xulu.